Good evening and welcome to episode 82. As always, we will start with our gratitude attitude. So, if you would please gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax your body. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, let all the stress melt away. Take one more deep breath. This time, completely let yourself go. Now, think of one thing that you're thankful for that happened in the past week. Once you identified that, think about why you are thankful. You may recall why is more important than what. So dig deeper. Now let's set it free. If you're by yourself, say it out loud what you're thankful for and why. If you are with someone, tell it to each other. Okay, so it's been a long summer break. So finally we are back. Hopefully we'll continue. So over the last couple of years, we talked about the need to diminish our ego on and off, right? So today I thought we dedicate an entire episode to the ego. Before we talk about, keeping our ego in check, we need to figure out how to know we have an ego problem. As you may know, some people confuse ego with self-confidence. And there is a fine line between the two, right? So let's start there. What are the telltale signs of ego being mistaken as self-confidence? So there are people who listen to your point of view. but will not put that into action. That's one sign. When we listen to a different point of view and seriously evaluate our position to see it needs to be modified. Now, that's a sign of maturity. Changing our mind does not mean that we lack self confidence. Another sign is the lack of a feedback mechanism. If we are not prepared to get feedback upon completion of any task, right? That means we are not prepared to improve our processes. And this means self criticism as well, right? It's important to review once a task is complete to learn from it. And I'm a strong believer that everything can be improved. And if we don't have that attitude, we'll keep producing mediocre results. I don't know whether you remember, but I think Chevy had an ad a few years ago. And it said, if we settle with good enough, right, would we achieve anything higher? So it's a very interesting concept. Anyway, I digress. Another sign is that people say no to any idea as soon as they hear it, before even they evaluate it. Their default answer seems to be no. When a default answer is no, you know that ego is taking over the person. I have a friend, and he would tell that anytime someone comes in his office, come up with a new idea, first thing he'll say is no, and then tell them that they have to think about this, and this before they even come up with a new idea. And he's proud of that, right? So think about that. Now look at some other signs that tell that you have an ego problem. One sign is that you compare yourself with everyone. If you cannot enjoy someone else's success, you have an ego problem. Another sign is that we lack gratitude. And we talked about this before at length, that how gratitude helps diminish our ego. One another sign is that people with ego problem take credit for other people's work. They'll somehow insert themselves in someone else's success and make it all about how they made that happen, right? Yet another sign is that you're always blaming someone else when things go wrong. It's never my fault, right? So these are some of the signs that someone may have an ego issue. And now we have identified that. Hopefully, we'll keep an eye out for them so that if it flares up, we can keep it in check. So, it's just not enough, obviously, to identify. We have to do something about it. So, what can we do about it? There are a number of things we can do to keep our ego in check. One way to do this is not to take anything personally. Whatever someone says, if you take it at face value without taking it personally, it helps keep our ego in check. So let's say, you're at work, someone says something negative about your work. But instead of taking it personally, if you realize that, you know what, they are being negative about the process or the work product, or no matter who was at this end, you or someone else, right? They would be equally negative. So if they are criticizing your report, if somebody else wrote the same report, right, they'll have equal criticism. If you think like that, it will help keep the ego in check. And I know it takes conscious effort, right? Because the response from the ego tends to be instant and automatic. And that's the key, right? Sometimes we don't think before we react because of ego. And that's where our mindfulness comes in handy. Another thing helps is creating a gratitude practice. If we thank people for the smallest of thing for us, right? Then it helps us be thankful for things in our lives. Another way to help keep the ego in check is to know that you are not the best on everything, right? You're not the best at everything. For most things we do, there's always someone who can do it just a little bit better. And that, I think, to me, that's probably more important than most other things, right? That most thing we do, there's almost always someone else who can do just a little bit better. And if we keep that in mind, it helps us keep our ego in check. Eckhart Tolle said something very interesting. He says the way to control ego is go to that place within you that is still, meaning no thoughts, just consciousness. In other words, meditation. He recommends this practice when someone says something that is offensive or hurts your ego. Just do nothing. If you do nothing and provide no response, your ego diminishes. One thing I think helps above all is to be mindful. If we are mindful of what we say, what we think, we can easily identify our ego problems and keep that in check. I had the ego the size of Texas, quite frankly. And one thing we must realize is that ego is a never ending problem. So we have to keep looking for our ego to flare up because it shows up just when we let our guards down. It does become easier over time, for sure, to identify ego flaring up on the fly, but that takes a lot of practice. So I hope this helps with your day to day life in keeping our ego in check. In today's meditation, I want to go back to basics since we had such a long break, right? Um, let's do a simple breathing meditation. We'll keep our focus on our breath, settle down at our heart, and then we'll just enjoy the peace within. So that's the plan. If you're ready, let's start. Let's get into our meditation posture. Back straight, shoulders leveled in a cross legged position. Gently close your eyes. Keep your mouth just a little bit open. That way, any stress you may have accumulated in your jaws will dissipate. Palms in your lap, right over left. Thumbs gently touching each other. Now, take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax your muscles. When you take a deep breath, let your tummy expand. And when you exhale, let your tummy touch your spine. You want your you want your exhale just a little bit longer than your inhale. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, let all the stress melt away. Now, bring your attention to the sensation of your breath at your nostrils. Feel the cool air as you breathe in. Feel slightly warmer air as you breathe out. Keep your attention at your nostrils for a minute or so on your own. Now, bring your attention at your heart. Enjoy the peaceful nature of your heart. Let this peaceful moment bring the next peaceful moment. Remember, there's nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just enjoy. If your mind wanders off, bring your attention back to sensation of your breath for about 5 breaths. And then settle down at your heart. Enjoy the peaceful nature that is your heart. If your thoughts take you somewhere else, please come back. Bring your attention back to sensation of your breath. Enjoy the peaceful nature that is your heart. Remember, there is nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just enjoy. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Any questions? Go ahead, Prabhu.
No, no questions. I was just
No questions. Excellent. All right, I will stop recording.